Business today is consideration of the committee print providing legislative recommendations to comply with the reconciliation directives included in Section 2001 of the concurrent resolution on the budget for fiscal year 2025, HCon Res 14. The committee will now proceed to consideration of the committee print.
Mr. Chairman, at this point, I want to reserve a right to object to your unanimous consent request and raise a point of order concerning its consideration.
So the next line is without objection.
It is with objection, with a reservation of objection. Hopefully, I can not object.
State your objection, gentlemen.
Surely. Mr. Chairman, I just asked to be heard briefly about the amendment and the nature of
State your objection.
My point of order is under House Rule 16, Clause 7, in that your 28-page bill that you filed Friday night is now a 389-page bill, that it includes multiple provisions that were not in any way referenced on Friday night, from the SALT cap to the $20 billion voucher plan to just one provision after another. And under House Rule 16, Clause 7, it is designed to help the members of Congress properly legislate by knowing what's going to be considered before we act. I have people in my district who will spend months researching a $40,000 car. We're being asked to consider a $5 trillion tax bill where we don't have the information since this bill deviates so much from the one that was filed Friday night. I have, Mr. Chairman, the House Practice Manual, and it makes very clear that on page 565 that the burden of proof is on the offerer of an amendment that deviates so fundamentally, and that this applies to amendments in the nature of a substitute. So I just ask you to clarify perhaps your broad definition of germaneness, if that is your position, will be applied similarly to any Democratic amendment that would be offered. But I'm trying to ensure that we don't have one standard that applies to your amendment and another standard that applies to mine or the others that might be offered. So perhaps you could just explain why you think this is germane to what you offered on Friday night.
The House substitute that we provides with all House rules. And so the gentleman is more than happy to discuss any of the conversations when we move forward within the substitute.
So your position is that our amendments, for example, to deal with the Affordable Care Act enhanced credits, though they're not dealt with directly in your bill, that germaneness will permit us to debate all of those matters on the merits?
We'll consider case-by-case basis as we move forward.
Sometimes your consideration tends to run a little one way.
You've stated your objection. We're going to move on.
All right. Well, my objection, I raise a point of order that
State your point of order.
The amendment in the nature of a substitute is not germane to the base bill because it includes multiple provisions: SALT, the vouchers, the denial of health care.
The gentleman will suspend for a moment.
Surely.
The amendment as a nature of a substitute hasn't been called up yet, so it's not timely to raise a point of order at this moment on.
Well, you're about to make a unanimous consent request that we dispense with any objection. So if you want to make that request, I will renew.
I was about to say the measure will be considered as read and open for amendment at any point if there's no objection.
Are you referring to the amendment in the nature of a substitute?
We are not there yet.
When you're there, I have a reservation of objection, and it will be somewhat similar to the one I just stated.
Without objection, the measure will be considered as read and open for amendment at any point. At this time, I offer an amendment in the nature of a substitute, which was distributed in advance along with the green sheet explaining it. Without objection, the amendment...
Mr. Chairman, at that point, I would reserve an objection and raise a point of order.
And that is the appropriate time.
Thank you very much.
That is not the appropriate time. Does the gentleman wish to reserve a point of order on germaneness?
I reserve a point of order under the House rule that I cited, hoping that we can comply with the rules, or if you're adjusting the rules, that it will apply the same to Democrats as Republicans. House Rule 16, Clause 7.
The committee is complying with all House rules, and we will continue to comply with all House rules.
Mr. Chairman, you're not complying with House Rule 16, Clause 7, which applies to amendments in the nature of a substitute of this type. And it's obvious from your expansion from 28 pages to 8.
Would the gentleman suspend?
Surely.
After I read this next line, the gentleman would have the opportunity to make the objection. So,
Sorry to jump
or
the gun,
to
but
raise
it's
the point of
important.
order on germaneness. Without objection, the amendment in the nature of a substitute shall be considered as read, open for amendment at any point, and considered base text for purpose of amendment.
Mr. Chairman, at that point, I would reserve an objection and raise a point of order.
This is the time you need to raise it, not reserve it.
Well, I'm reserving it because I'm hopeful that you'll give me an explanation that germaneness would apply the same way to Democratic amendments as you have applied it to your amendment in the nature of a substitute. And if that's not the case, and there's some possibility that our amendments will be rejected as non-germane, while yours, which is obviously non-germane, is okay to consider, I'm willing to withdraw the objection. Really was hoping to get more insight from you about your approach to germaneness and the vast change in this bill from Friday night, which gave us almost no time to prepare amendments or to be prepared to discuss its multiple provisions of a big, beautiful bill. And I'm hoping that the House rules will be followed more closely than the rule of law has been followed by the administration.
So the amendment in the nature of a substitute is germane, and we'll move forward as it being germane.
Mr. Chairman, I raise a point of order against further consideration of the amendment and request a vote on my point of order as described, that the amendment in the nature of the substitute is not germane to the base bill. It legislates on a different subject matter and has a different fundamental purpose from the bill that you noticed, and the burden is on you to show germaneness, and you've done nothing to show germaneness here. You've not only not met your burden, you've not even offered an explanation as to why you deviated from a bill of 28 pages and went to 389 pages with more new provisions than you had old provisions.
Okay, so the chair is prepared to rule that this is germane, so you're objecting to that and you want to...
I want a record vote on it.
Okay, so
Point of order, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman.
you can't entertain another point of order while this is pending.
Can I ask a question about this vote before us, before we vote?
It's not debatable or discussion. We're going to it.
No discussion of germaneness, in other words. You're just going to rule on germaneness with no discussion
Does
of
the
germaneness?
gentleman wish to be heard on his point of order on germaneness?
I do.
Proceed.
Well, thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, I believe you are taking a very expansive view of germaneness when you add multiple provisions that are wholly unrelated to the 28 pages that you presented us on Friday evening. That Friday evening presentation seemed to be designed to minimize scrutiny of what you were doing, but not included in that 28 pages is any mention of SALT whatsoever, a matter that seems to have gendered some discussion in not only the Democratic caucus, but in the Republican caucus. Your expansive definition includes an entirely new $20 billion voucher system that seems to encourage parents to abandon our public schools. You help throw millions of Americans out of their health plan. You repeal all the renewable energy credits. That was not in Friday night, which have been generating so many new jobs, especially in Republican districts. You've given the Trump administration dangerous new authority to impose capital punishment on nonprofit university, civic, and charitable organizations. And you have established a new category of tax-preferred savings accounts, which were not in the base bill. House Rule 16, Clause 7 is designed to help all of us on both sides of the aisle, as members of Congress, be prepared to legislate. It's designed to prevent hasty, ill-considered decisions. You know, Mr. Chairman, last Tuesday, it was Speaker Johnson himself who said that the legislation that we're considering right now would, quote, be the most important, the most consequential legislation that we'll ever be involved in our lifetimes, and arguably one of the biggest in the history of Congress. Shouldn't a matter of such importance, according to the Speaker, be in full compliance with the rules of the House of Representatives? At such a momentous measure, we ought to be complying with the House rules, and the precedents are clear. Under the House, there have been bills brought to the floor that have been rejected because they did not comply with the House rules. On Friday night, you set out what we were supposed to be prepared to legislate on Tuesday, and then hours ago, you totally altered it. If, as you and the President have been describing it, this is one big, beautiful bill, I have to say it's certainly hidden beauty. You certainly didn't want anyone admiring the flawless beauty very closely. By introducing a new subject matter not contemplated in Friday's base text and changing the fundamental purpose of measures before us today, this proposed substitute is manifestly non-germane. If you're rejecting the bill that you introduced on Friday night and asking us to consider this monstrosity, that is your right. But it is a right that can only be exercised after proper notice to us, which means giving members the requisite time to read, to understand it, and to prepare any necessary amendments, and to have the information that the ranking member referred to that we lack from the Joint Committee on Taxation. Mr. Chairman, I would just particularly address your attention to page 565 of the discussion of this rule in the House Practice Manual, which I brought along with me. Since under the House rules, you as the sponsor of this gigantic new amendment bear the burden of proof that it is germane to the underlying 28 pages, I would just ask you to explain how it is germane and assure us that if you're applying what appears to be a very liberal interpretation of germaneness, that you do the same for any amendment that may be offered by any member of the committee.
The chair is prepared to rule. The gentleman from Texas makes the point of order that the amendment proposed is non-germane. The amendment is in order, and the point of order is overruled.
Mr. Chairman, on that, I would ask for a record vote.
Can I have a point of clarification, please, Mr.
You
Chairman?
have to.
Oh, pardon?
You have to appeal the decision.
I'm
of the chair.
appealing the decision of the chair and asking for a record vote on that.
Mr. Chairman, may I have a point of clarification?
It's no discussion, a pending motion.
I can't make ask for a point of clarification?
No. What is the, I mean, we can. What is the clarification?
I would like you just to clarify why the bill that you put in, the amendment in the nature of a substitute, is germane.
Because it is germane. Mr. Buchanan.
So there's no rationale behind it, just because you say so.
Go ahead. The gentleman, Mr. Buchanan, is recognized for a motion.
I move to table the appeal.
Because I said so?
The chair.
The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Buchanan.
Yes.
Mr. Buchanan, yes. Mr. Smith of Nebraska.
Yes.
Mr. Smith of Nebraska, yes. Mr. Kelly.
Yes.
Mr. Kelly, yes. Mr. Schweikert. Mr. Schweikert, yes. Mr. LaHood. Mr. Arrington. Mr. Arrington, yes. Mr. Estes. Mr. Estes, yes. Mr. Smucker. Mr. Smucker, yes. Mr. Hearn. Mr. Hearn, yes. Mrs. Miller. Mrs. Miller, yes. Dr. Murphy. Dr. Murphy, yes. Mr. Kustoff. Mr. Kustoff, yes. Mr. Fitzpatrick. Mr. Fitzpatrick, yes. Mr. Stubbe. Mr. Stubbe, yes. Ms. Tinney. Ms. Tinney, yes. Mrs. Fishbach. Mrs. Fishbach, yes. Mr. Moore. Mr. Moore, yes. Ms. Van Dyne. Ms. Van Dyne, yes. Mr. Feenstra. Mr. Feenstra, yes. Ms. Maliotakis. Ms. Maliotakis, yes. Mr. Carey. Mr. Carey, yes. Mr. Yakum. Mr. Yakum, yes. Mr. Miller. Mr. Miller, yes. Mr. Bean. Mr. Bean, yes. Mr. Moran. Mr. Moran, yes. Mr. Neal. Mr. Neal, no. Mr. Doggett. Mr. Doggett, no. Mr. Thompson. Mr. Thompson, no. Mr. Larson? Mr. Larson, no. Mr. Davis? Mr. Davis, no. Ms. Sanchez? Ms. Sanchez, no. Ms. Sewell? Ms. Sewell, no. Ms. Delbene? Ms. Delbene, no. Ms. Chu? Ms. Chu, no. Ms. Moore? Ms. Moore, no. Mr. Boyle? Mr. Boyle, no. Mr. Byer? Mr. Byer, no. Mr. Evans?
No.
Mr. Evans, no. Mr. Schneider? Mr. Schneider, no. Mr. Panetta? Mr. Panetta, no. Mr. Gomez? Mr. Gomez, no. Mr. Horsford? Mr. Horsford, no. Ms. Plaskett? Ms. Plaskett, no. Mr. Swazi? Mr. Swazi, no. Mr. LaHood? Chairman Smith?
Yes.
Chairman Smith, yes.
The clerk will report the vote.
The yeses are 25, the noes are 19.
There being